Two people walk into the same room. Same meeting, same strangers, same ordinary Tuesday afternoon. One of them walks out with a new job, a new friend, a phone number that quietly changes their whole year. The other one walks out with a lukewarm coffee and the exact same life they carried in. And here's the part that should bother you a little. It wasn't chance. They stood in the same room, in front of the same openings, and only one of them saw them. You've met both of these people. You might be one of them right now. And the difference between them isn't luck, at least not the way you've been taught to think about it. It's something happening quietly, mechanically, inside the brain, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because years ago, a British psychologist got tired of guessing about luck and did something almost nobody had bothered to do. He dragged it into a lab. He gathered people who swore they were lucky and people who swore they were cursed, and he ran them through the same simple task. He handed each of them a newspaper and asked them to count the photographs inside. The people who believed they were unlucky bent over the pages and counted carefully, and it took them about 2 minutes. The lucky ones took seconds. Here's why. On the second page, in enormous letters, half the page tall, was a message that read, "Stop counting. There are 43 photographs in this newspaper." The lucky people saw it almost instantly. The unlucky people flipped right past it, because they were concentrating so hard on counting that it never occurred to them to look up. Same newspaper, same message, sitting in plain sight in front of both of them. That's your first clue. Luck isn't simply landing on some people and skipping others. Some people are just seeing what's already there. So let me tell you what this video actually is. It's not a pep talk. It's not a just think positive speech. This is the real science of what lucky people do differently, with their attention and their behavior, and exactly how you train it. We're going to break down the 4 habits that separate lucky people from unlucky ones. The one filter in your brain that quietly decides what you even notice in the first place. Why trying harder can actually make you unluckier. And the one small shift you can make tonight that widens how much luck you're able to catch. Stay with me, because the first habit will change how you walk through a room for the rest of your life. Let's start with what's really going on under the hood, because everything else hangs off this. At every single moment, far more is happening around you than your brain could ever handle. A flood of signals, sounds, faces, details, small openings, and if you let all of it in at once, you'd be paralyzed. So your brain does something genuinely brilliant. It filters. It decides, mostly without asking your permission, what's worth showing you and what to quietly throw away. If you saw my video on manifesting, you already know this system. I called it the tuning filter. It's the same machinery here, doing the same job. It hands you what it thinks you're looking for and hides most of the rest. And that creates a gap between everything that's actually around you and the thin slice you consciously notice. I call it the noticing gap. Lucky people and unlucky people live in the very same world, full of the very same opportunities. They just have wildly different noticing gaps. Now here's the uncomfortable part. What controls the size of that gap, more than almost anything else, is how you feel. When you're tense, anxious, gripping hard, your attention narrows down to a pinhole. Researchers have shown that anxiety literally shrinks the scope of what you're able to take in. It's exactly why the unlucky counters missed a message the size of their own hand. They were too worried about getting the number right to see anything else in the room. And when you're relaxed, open, a little curious, the lens widens. You catch the side comment, the door left ajar, the face you'd normally scroll past. Same brain, completely different setting. So the real question quietly changes. It stops being, "Why am I so unlucky?" and becomes something far more useful. How do I widen the lens? And that's the 4 habits. Let's go. The first habit of lucky people is almost boring, and that's exactly why it works. They keep their lens wide. Unlucky people run on rails. Same route to work, same seat, same 3 people, same lunch, same scroll before bed. There's nothing wrong with any of it, except that a narrow life gives chance almost nothing to land on. Lucky people, without ever calling it a strategy, keep brushing up against the edges of their routine. They take the other road. They say yes to the odd invitation. They actually talk to the person beside them instead of disappearing into their phone. Now, part of you is already thinking, That's fine for outgoing people. I'm just not like that. I hear you. But this was never about being loud. It's about widening your surface area by a few degrees. One new conversation, one different route, one room you'd normally skip. You do not have to become a different person. You just have to stop sealing yourself in. Because every new edge you touch is one more place luck can actually reach you. And the wider your lens gets, the more you start picking up on something most people ignore completely, which is habit 2. Lucky people trust their gut. And I know exactly how that sounds. Gut feelings are just guessing dressed up as wisdom. Sometimes, sure, but not always. And here's the difference that matters. Your intuition isn't magic. It's your brain pattern matching faster than your conscious mind can keep up with. Years of watching people, reading rooms, sensing when a deal is off. All of it gets compressed into a quiet signal that says, this one's right, or something's wrong here. That's real information. It just doesn't arrive with a paragraph explaining itself. Lucky people have learned to hear that signal and act on it. Unlucky people talk themselves out of it, bury it under a spreadsheet, and find out 3 weeks later the gut was right all along. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. You cannot hear a quiet signal in a loud room. If your head is packed with noise all day, pings, other people's opinions, a low hum of dread, that small voice gets buried alive. Which is why lucky people, on purpose or by pure accident, make quiet. A walk with no phone. 10 minutes in the car before they go in. A full night's sleep before a big call. That's not wasted time. That's them turning the noise down far enough to finally hear the signal. Before we go any further, I want you to stop for a second. Sit with this one. Think about the last week of your actual life. The rooms you were in. The people you passed. The small openings you were too busy, or too tense, or too closed off to notice. They were there. Some of them were the size of a half-page message in a newspaper. And the only reason they never counted as luck is that nobody looked up. That's not a guilt trip. It's the good news. Because if luck really runs through your attention and your behavior, things you can actually change, then these next 2 habits are where luck stops being something that happens to you and starts being something you quietly build. The third habit is the one people get wrong the most. Lucky people expect things to go well. And immediately somebody in the back says, that's just toxic positivity, delusion with a smile on it. No. Watch what the expectation actually does, mechanically. It doesn't bend reality. It bends your behavior. When you expect a door to open, you knock on more doors. You send the message. You ask the question out loud. You follow up one more time. You stay in the conversation 30 seconds longer than you would have. When you expect nothing, you don't bother. And why would you? Here's the quiet math underneath it. The person who keeps knocking will, eventually, hit the door that opens. Not by magic, by sheer volume of tries. Researchers found lucky people are far more likely to keep going toward what they want, precisely because they expect it to work out. And that persistence is what makes it work out often enough to look like luck. I call this the forward bet. You're not promising yourself a specific outcome. You're placing a quiet bet that showing up is worth it. And that bet is what keeps you in the game long enough for good things to find you. But you and I both know life doesn't cooperate every time. Doors slam. Bets lose. And what lucky people do in that exact moment is the fourth habit. And honestly, it might be the most powerful one of all. Lucky people get hit with bad luck too. Flat tires, lost deals, cold rejections, the same rotten Tuesdays as everybody else. The difference is entirely in what happens in the 60 seconds after. Unlucky people replay it. They sit at the kitchen table at midnight, running the loss on a loop, and slowly the story hardens into, of course, this always happens to me. Lucky people do something that almost looks strange. Fast, almost reflexively, they reach for the version where it could have been worse. The crash that wasn't fatal. The deal that would have been a trap. The rejection that quietly freed up the yes. It isn't denial. They're not pretending it didn't sting. They're refusing to let one bad event drag them out of the game. Because the moment you decide you're cursed, you stop doing all 4 of these habits, and then you genuinely do get unluckier. It becomes a loop, feeding itself. The rebound is how you break the loop. You feel it, you find the one thread worth keeping, and you step back out the door. Now let me be completely straight with you, because this channel doesn't sell magic. None of this is going to win you the lottery. A roulette wheel does not know your attitude. A slot machine cannot feel your optimism. Pure random chance, the real kind, does not care who you are or how you're feeling. If anyone tells you the right mindset controls the dice, they are selling you something. What these 4 habits change is a completely different kind of luck, the human kind. The luck that travels through people and timing and conversations and all the things you very nearly noticed. That luck was never random. It's running past you all day long, and how much of it you actually catch really is, in large part, up to you. That's not woo. That's just attention and behavior, doing exactly what they've always done. So what do you actually do about it? Keep it small. Small is what survives contact with a real week. 2 things, starting tonight. First, the one new thing rule. Once a day, deliberately break one of your rails. One of those fixed tracks we talked about. Same route, same seat, same scroll. Take a different way home. Say yes to the invitation you'd normally decline. Ask the quiet person the real question. Just one, every day. You're not chasing luck. You're widening the lens so luck finally has somewhere to land. Second, right before bed, a 30-second scan. Ask yourself one honest question. What did I miss, or almost miss, today? An opening you talked yourself out of. A signal you ignored. A door that was open a crack. You're not scolding yourself. You're training your brain to start flagging those moments earlier and earlier, until one day it catches them in real time, in the actual room, while they still count. That's the whole practice. A wider lens by day, a quick scan by night. Do it for 1 month, and watch what starts randomly going your way. Let's walk back to those 2 people leaving the same room. You always assumed the lucky one was simply born under a better star. But now you know the truth, and it's quieter, and far more hopeful than that. They weren't handed more chances. They were just awake to the ones already in the room. The luck was there for both of them. Only one of them looked up. So here's the thing to carry out of here with you. Luck isn't a gift that mysteriously skips certain people. It's a filter, and a filter can be widened. You don't have to become someone else. You just have to stop walking through your own life with your head down. Tomorrow, you're going to be in a room. There will be something in it. Look up. Quick note. This video is for learning and reflection, not medical or psychological advice. If you're really struggling with something, talk to a professional you trust. And if one idea here landed, the noticing gap, the wide lens, the forward bet, the rebound, do me a favor and tell me in the comments, what's one opportunity you realize right now you almost walked straight past?